adjourn.
Okay, we're gonna call this meeting to order. Any adjustments to the agenda?
I have none.
Good. Selectboard New Business, library request for moisture mitigation.
Sorry to throw this in the mix, but there's a deadline and it's important. So in your packet, there's a request from the Putney Public Library to do some mitigation work before the heat pumps are installed. This is on the back side, northwest corner of, or the north corner, where the ramp is. So,
Okay. Where the
northwest side,
back entrance.
further north. There's two entrances in the back. One has a ramp.
Oh.
So it's on the north side of the building,
Okay.
on the west side.
The northwest side.
Yeah. So there is a corner right there where the
okay.
roof comes and
Uh-huh.
everything dumps right there.
Gotcha.
And there's a heat pump that will go back in over there. But they need like a French drain in there
Uh-huh.
for the water. There is moisture getting into the basement, so it's important that we consider this.
The ground might freeze too.
So in your packet also is a memo of understanding between the public library and the town of Putney. And if you look at the back, it says heat plant replacement. So this is kind of connected, folks. And the library would like to have the town.
I have one question. Was this put out for bid? This is a big enough number that it should have been. Did we get more?
I'm not sure if Emily got two. This is the bid that was handed to me.
Well,
My question too.
We have a policy that way.
I think if it's our responsibility to pay, it ought to go through our process of procurement, and that would require putting it for bid. Did she do any of that process?
I
I mean, I think
can't answer that question.
better practice would be for her to work through you on something that we're gonna have to pay for.
I can see them putting their own stuff out to bid, but I agree that if we're spending town money on it, then it should go through our procurement or follow it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was a deadline on these heat pumps for the end of the year, wasn't it?
Yes.
Are we able to get her on the phone by any chance?
No.
Okay. When you say deadline for the end of the year,
I
what
think
does
there
that
was a
mean?
requirement, wasn't there?
Yes.
Because
So
We approved
Is
them.
it ARPA money?
No,
No.
what was it?
What-
Rebates or something, or?
well, there's rebates. I mean, the equipment has been ordered, but prior to it going in, this work should be done.
Right.
And to be honest, it probably should have been done way before we authorized purchasing equipment.
Well, the two are actually separate though, aren't they? I mean, we could go ahead with procuring the heat pump and installing that. We just gotta,
No.
No,
Catch
because they
up with
need
the
to.
They wanna do the
They wanna
drainage
do the
work.
drainage work
heat
before
pumps
they
gonna go
put the
there.
heat pumps
Right.
back where the drainage is supposed to go.
yeah, I understand that, but that doesn't mean that you can't have the heat pump installed. You just gotta then put the drain in.
They're gonna dig it out, Fletcher, so that heat pump won't be going in right away.
Well, how long would it take us to go through our procurement process on this?
Could take 30 days.
I think we're battling with the weather.
Yeah, weather.
It's gonna change.
Why don't we approve it contingent on a bid process? It could be like 2 weeks. They could put it out for 2 weeks. What's our procurement policy say? Do we say it has to be out for
Well, it
certain
should
amount of
be
time?
out, yeah, it should be out a certain amount of time. And it's almost $10,000,
Yeah.
so 15 days anyway. So there might be another way. I mean, if the town were to split the cost with the library,
What's our policy say? Here. Do you know right off how much the limit is before?
5,000.
5,000, so, okay, then
So splitting the
I
cost,
think
I'd be,
if it's below 5,000, then I'm comfortable with it, and if it's not below 5,000, then we gotta figure out how to.
Let me have the conversation with the library and I can make it work.
Okay, with a second bid, if it's over 5,000.
Well, we
If
would,
it's over
Or if we split
5,000, or we
if we
split
split
it,
it, if
under-
it's 5,000, if we
Right,
pay
it's
5,000,
under 5,000,
And
and I can just make
Great.
that decision.
That sounds great.
Right. Okay.
solve that.
Do we have to? Oh,
I don't think we have to do anything,
We don't
yeah.
have to do anything?
If I have an issue, I'll come back to the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
alright, moving on. Fire department model plan.
In your packet is the Putney Fire and Rescue proposed department structure model plan. We're not gonna rehash what's happened in, back in May of 2024, or April of 2024. We all know that we have an interim fire chief, he's Brian Harlow. And he's been working with the department and the officers. I've been meeting with the officers and the chief. And in front of you is a model plan that they are gonna present this evening. And hopefully you all had a chance to read it. Yes?
Mhm.
Okay. Brian, do you wanna speak to you, Brian? And also mention too, who else is here and what roles they play.
So I guess what I'll do to start with, I'll just sort of give you, the nuts and bolts of it, and there's a couple different people here that want to speak as well. So, basically we feel as the officer group, we need to come to a model that we're gonna, build on for the future. We like the model that we're currently operating under right now. We meet once a month at least to I guess go through any issues that we're having, direction moving forward. Usually, maybe not every meeting, but every couple of meetings, there's, we're trying to knock some stuff off the AP Triton list. The other side of having a plan moving forward is budgeting. Budgeting's like kind of impossible if you don't actually know what your plan is moving forward. So, I guess what we're proposing is that we leave the current structure in place with myself as the chief. Daniel is currently our head of service on the EMS side, as well as Daniel's the head of service, but Billy is also definitely in on that process as well. All of us are, but those two on the EMS side are definitely the two that are leading the ship. So we rely on them heavily, or especially me. My background is not huge in EMS. I've been in the fire service for 24 years now, and I'm not into the EMS side of it. But fortunately, we have two people here that are very, very good at it and have both 20 years plus experience. So we've changed some stuff as far as ordering. Daniel's very good at, trying to do the best by the taxpayers, basically by being as responsible as can with ordering any supplies that are EMS. Yeah, and on the fire side of it, you know, we've got 4 officers on the fire side of it, all either over 20 years experience or approaching it. With the introduction of Len Howard with his retirement from Brattleboro as a full-time chief, that has been a huge kind of a relief to us, because he, you know, it's just like little town of Putney is not gonna run into the stuff that you run into in the town of Brattleboro. It's just bigger, you know, more sophisticated, all that, and so it's a good person to bounce stuff off, so to help us move forward. This model has really given a lot of people a chance to grow and take on more responsibility, which is allowed. I mean, for me, it's like, you know, you've been in the fire service for 20 years, and then all of a sudden you're in charge of it. There's more to it than you ever knew, and we get through it. You know, we have a very committed group of people here that are, you know, put aside a lot of time. We do get on-call pay, but I mean, there's a lot of people here that give up an awful lot to make this thing go. And you know, currently we have 5 people in the firefighter 1 class. That'll be over in January, and I think all 5 of them are gonna go to the firefighter 2 level, as well as one that is currently firefighter 1. He's gonna step up to firefighter 2. So we've got a lot of commitment going on here, and a lot of people trying to better themselves, and it's been really good over the last year and a half to see what we've come from, and to try to grow the department and be as good as we can be for the taxpayers. So that's it in a nutshell. This thing obviously is not, I mean, I think probably this model, the biggest thing looking for this model would be me dropping the interim title, but I mean, that's not really what it's about. I mean, this is about we, you know, all of us I'm no good by myself. It has to have all of these people here to make this work, and the commitment seems to be pretty high, and the officer group, as well as the membership as a whole, are very confident that this will be a good model moving forward. We will continue to meet monthly and make sure that we don't get complacent on, you know, things, and when you do it for 20 years, you know, some stuff tends to get a little bit stale, but the way we're doing it, with everybody having an opinion and keeping everybody in the loop, it's I think it's good for the town. So that's it in a nutshell. I don't know if Billy or Daniel or Len, if you guys want to have anything to add.
I would just say that
Anybody who does speak, if you just state your name.
Len Howard, I would just say that this department is certainly going in the right direction. I echo what Brian says with Daniel and Billy on the EMS side. They've got complete control of it. They're doing very well. Got a lot of confidence in them. And as far as the fire side, we're continuing to meet, all of us as a group, and we continue to strive to do the best. And you know, we're not afraid to say to each other, you know, well, maybe we need to do this instead of that, and talk about it. And and think about it and then implement things. So I feel very good with this group. We've got a very good group of members that are eager and willing and wanting to learn, and they're doing so. Very cohesive group, and I've been around a while, and I see some younger folks here that are someday going to be the leaders of this department. And that's what's encouraging to me, and I'm ready to move forward and ready to make Brian our chief. So, thank you.
Hi, Daniel Garcia Galili. I think the key point to me in this model is, so we've sort of arrived like ad hoc over the past year plus at something that looks a lot like the more distributed leadership model that was one of the options that the Fire and Rescue Task Force included in the recommendations March of this year. And really what we're talking about with the model in front of you is just formalizing that a little bit more, sort of putting on paper the structure that functionally exists right now, which we think achieves a lot of the benefits of that distributed leadership model, largely in that it doesn't concentrate all the leadership.
Oh no.
Was that a test? Oh no, they're all going.
Only some of us can landmark. Yeah. Carry on.
That was like,
Finish up quick.
Never fails.
Yeah, right. Sorry. So I think like a key point of that distributed leadership model is that it allows us that space to train up new leadership, right? When we have leadership concentrated in one person, that doesn't leave room for other folks to build up capacity to step in. Mm-hmm. The model we have now creates a situation where with any one of us, either unavailable for a long time for some reason or even just out of town for the day, there are a lot of other folks that can step into roles. And so that gives us redundancy. So that seems like a key benefit of how we've been doing things the last year. And this model, like I said, just really formalizes what we're already doing. The other key thing that I think is in there that comes directly out of the task force recommendations is that part-time admin support for that kind of piece of what we do in the department. And so one part that's been a little bit hard to keep up with as we moved from having somebody full-time at the station every day to having this much more part-time model is just the paperwork, the keeping track of everybody's certifications and what training have they done and when does the cert expire and what trainings do we have in-house that we can keep track of that they can use to keep their certifications up, and inventorying what we've got in the closets for med supplies to see what's going to expire and can we rotate it through. So just having somebody part-time who doesn't need to be somebody with 20 years experience who can be a fire chief or an EMS deputy chief or something, but who can just do some of that admin piece, that lets us sort of pick up the stuff that that's been a little bit harder to keep a hold of in the model we have now, and it does it for a lot less of the town's money than sort of having somebody with a lot of experience that needs to be paid for that experience doing something that they don't have to be doing, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So thanks for this model. It looks good to me, especially if it's working. I had questions specific to the budget that we have in front of us, which is
I think that's next.
I know,
Okay.
but I just because of the way that the model is working, I just want to put the pieces together. So we're proposing that we basically split up the chief position between the fire chief and the administrative position, and then, or is it between all of the
No.
deputy chiefs? as
It's
well?
between basically all of the officers right now
Okay,
would get a stipend So
larger
that-
stipend
Yes.
than normal.
Yeah,
Okay.
a stipend, and that would be for all of the stuff that is not like calls or training.
Right.
So all that extra stuff, you don't
Yeah.
have to actually keep track, but you know, setting up trainings and, you know, when you have to do a site visit for, you know, there's all that other stuff that is just it.
Okay. So
So
the
that-
main piece is that we're taking the old chief's salary, full-time
Yeah.
salary
Yeah.
line, and we're splitting it up.
Yeah.
So the net result is that we have more capacity, but we're spending less money.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's all
I
I
think
wanted
it
to-
was, and I think it was roughly about between the administrative person, which was 10 hours a week, and all of the stipends for the officers. It was roughly about half of what the chief's salary was
Okay.
when the last, you
The
know,
last one.
in 24. Yeah.
Okay. That's
Can
all
I
I
ask a clarifying question about that? So when you say officers, you mean everybody in the captain rank or above?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's mainly because right now that in our officer group we have, well, right now we have one interim chief and a bunch of captains.
Right.
So we're gonna split that up to essentially a chief, two assistant or deputy chiefs, one on the EMS, one on the fire side,
Yeah.
and then we would end up with the rest of them would be captains. There is some possibility for some lieutenant positions, but that's down the road. Where, you know, there's kind of back to what Len said. We've got some people coming along that are like super smart, super into it, and are going to be very good at this with some time and experience.
And that's what's growing the leadership.
Yeah.
model you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So.
Another question. Brian, another question I have is, you as the fire chief, why would you not be the fire and rescue chief? You know, like.
Well, that's what it is. That's that's what it is. No, I would be the chief of the department.
Okay.
We say fire chief just because that's the way it always
Okay.
is. But
Yeah.
Well, I'm
I mean,
just looking here at the
Yeah.
titles, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
no,
Yeah.
we're all under Putney Fire and Rescue.
Right.
So
but I just wanted to make sure that you,
Yeah.
in your role,
Yeah.
were going to be the chief over
Yeah.
both branches.
I, as the head of EMS service, will report to Brian as our
Yeah.
It says it in the table. It doesn't say it in the tree.
Okay.
Right.
Just says
And
department
then
chief.
I had a couple other questions. I mean, it's like old home week here with the task force. It feels so good to be getting to this point with
Yeah.
this. And I can take it off, check it off my list there if we finally get there. A couple questions, like Karen, what's the plan for the administrative assistant? What?
So Brian and I have been talking, so I've been meeting with the officers since like May.
Yeah.
And I just want to say this department's come a long way. And what I'm seeing is a lot of positive progress. And they're working together. They're working with me. So as far as the admin, because I need an administrator here, I need a full-time administrator. And that person is going back in the budget. And what I'd like to do is if we can find the appropriate person that can do both. So I would share that admin,
Mhm.
give the fire department 10 hours and a week to assess and, you know.
Great, I
'cause-
just wanna make sure they
Yes.
get the support they need,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I don't see two people, because you're not gonna hire somebody for 10 hours a week. It has to be a shared person. And because I really need somebody here, we're gonna find the right person and share that person. And I'd like to get that by January or February latest, I'm
Because
gonna have
we've already
somebody in
budgeted.
here.
We kept the line item in there for the last budget.
We did not,
We did
but,
not. Okay.
but it's okay, because there's money in the budget to cover it. Because I'm still doing zoning,
Right.
you know,
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
okay, the other question I have, you know, it doesn't escape me that, you know, the EMS over here is, a smaller part of the tree, and the fire is a bigger part of the tree, just in terms of the number of people that we have. And I know that we have a lot of EMS calls. It's a big part of what we're doing. So I guess my question, maybe this is to you, Daniel, is like, where are we at in terms of providers, EMS providers?
So-
is that a big hole for us right now?
So I think there's a couple pieces to that, right? Like one thing is you look at our table of fire captains, say, which currently includes Lenny, Len, Eric, and Frank Harlow. Well, Eric and Len are both EMTs. Lenny is a Vermont Emergency First Responder, which is our sort of entry-level cert for EMS. So actually the fire side, we talk about fire and EMS side in some ways because there are some different things that we're doing in terms of like logistical administrative tasks and equipment maintenance and whatnot, but we are working very hard to actually function as a single department. And so when we talk about the fire side, a lot of folks on the fire side are also EMS.
They're cross-trained.
Yeah.
And really the distinction that we see, there are some people who are just doing EMS, and there are some people who are just doing fire, but a lot of people are doing both. There's a bigger barrier to entry for EMS providers, right? It's really good that we're getting people through Firefighter 1. The state does not require that for people to become firefighters in Vermont. The state requires people to be at the minimum certified at a Vermont Emergency First Responder level. And for most of what we do, we actually need somebody on scene who's certified at a higher level than that. And that EMT course, which is really like the lowest level course that makes sense for people to do, is about 150 hours of classroom time. So there's just a bigger barrier to entry, and so it takes us more time to develop prospects who are looking at things from the EMS side. That said, we've now had a couple people come to us. One, Beth Crowley, who actually pushed the state to actually figure out what they needed to do for people who were licensed nurses to challenge EMS exams and get certified as EMTs. And so that now opens a pipeline for folks that are in that boat who want to join. And then we've also had folks who are in the nursing program down in Brattleboro, or who did EMT as part of their college program, who are back for a summer, join up as well. So we have some pipeline that's forming for EMS providers. It just takes a little bit longer to get people online. In terms of just the number of officers, like I said, we have actually several of the fire captains who are also EMTs. But the other piece of that is that while we do run a lot of EMS calls, we don't need as many people on those calls usually, right? A big EMS call might need 6 or 7 people. A big fire call might need everybody we have plus a dozen other towns. So we don't need the same level of supervision on the EMS side because we're not running the number of people on calls, even though the call volume is really high.
That makes sense. Is there anything you think the town should be doing to incentivize the EMS training, or is there anything else we should be thinking about?
So as we've reviewed as an officer group our standard operating procedures and guidelines, and as we've worked with Karen on those, we've worked really hard to look at what are the ways that we can, without sort of like wasting town money, how can we incentivize or compensate people? And so that includes a really clear structure for us, the ways in which we will pay towards people's participation in classes, like cover their tuition for classes, and the ways in which we will compensate members who complete a certification based on sort of number of years of service with the department. But we have worked to really clarify that as a piece of incentivizing sort of completing EMS certifications.
Have you considered working with the high school?
With Brattleboro Union?
Yeah. Because I know they've started some health and human services classes and some other classes.
So I think, I think that's an interesting thing for us to pursue. I think we need to be aware of like often what they're looking at is ride-alongs for people who are not yet certified, for which, that's great to get people involved. It doesn't actually provide us with help on calls. It actually it requires well, it's not problems, but it requires us to have enough people on the call to both supervise the student and provide patient care. And so in some ways, like an ambulance service like rescue might be a better fit for that. That said, to the extent that they're then certifying people as EMTs, it's another pipeline for us to look at about whether there are folks in town who are doing that who could then also, and we do have junior members in the department who are involved in different parts of the career center stuff down there as well.
I have to say, I think this is terrific. I mean, it never made sense to me, the highly centralized hierarchical model never made sense to me for a small town. This makes sense to me. This involves as much of the community. It's as open to participation. If you want to do the work, you can be part of the group, and that's exactly what ought to be happening in a town like this. This is one of our core institutions, and I think you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other comments from anyone?
Do we need to vote on it, or what?
So can I just make a comment? I do support this model. We'll let the board know that, and we'll continue to work together, but it's working. And I do support it.
Do we need to do anything? Do we need to endorse it or anything, or?
I think,
Probably need to vote on the model.
yeah, I think you should make a motion.
Okay.
Otherwise, it'll be, it won't complete the report from the task force.
Okay, well then.
One step at a time.
I make a motion to approve the department structure for Putney Fire and Rescue.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Yay, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're not done yet.
I'm not gonna stick around. Just stick.
Okay.
Alright, fire department draft FY27 budget. You starting, Karen, or somebody else?
So this is the draft budget. It's on the public safety, which will include the sheriff's department, rescue. So I gave the draft to the officers, and the officers worked through it. I have to say a lot happened in the last year. A lot got done. The equipment is all service, and it's, things were purchased that were needed. So what happened in the last year was good. It needed to happen. And this budget for 27, what we did is we basically level funded the budget. And when I say that, as you'll see on page 1, at the bottom, we're gonna go right into emergency management. We've added a stipend for health officer. I'm gonna go back up a little bit. So there is a stipend for the health officer. There's a stipend for emergency management director. I think having these positions and titles, I there should be some sort of stipend. My expectation too, as is the person that's in this position, they'll be trained and they're gonna do the work. And it'll be a quarterly stipend. And then on the bottom, underneath the administration, as you can see, leadership, command, and management, that was reduced by $48,000. And that's what the chief was talking about with the stipends between all the officers. Okay, so $22,000 for your officers, including the chief. And they'll also, as they go on calls, they're still getting paid for the calls and the training and the education. So, then your administrative assistant, we put a line item in there for $13,000, so that is a new line item. On the second page, you can see the health insurance. We took that out because we no longer have a full-time position, part-time. We did need to keep in the FICA and the child care state taxes for payroll. And as a reminder, this is guesstimate, so it'll look better next year after we have another year of budget numbers. And let's see. Some items decreased, most of them didn't change. We did add on page 3 a uniform allowance. That's never been in the budget, but that is for dress blues for when they're out at a parade or, anything else.
So not gear, not firefighting gear.
It could be used for that if it's, there's an emergency, but that line item is for dress blues. Is that what you call them?
Well, it's Class A uniforms, basically.
There you
So, and the other part about that is that line item, we're just gonna try to get most everybody outfitted with a Class A uniform, and that line item will go away, and maybe it doesn't go away, but it will definitely decrease once we get the bulk of the people outfitted. We have some people that have Class A uniforms right now that have outgrown them, and they will get passed down to whoever they will work for. So, and those Class A uniforms will be owned by the department. So when somebody leaves, we will keep those. So we don't, we're not just gonna buy a Class A uniform for somebody and 6 months later they decide to move somewhere else and they take it with them. That's just, it just doesn't make sense to do that. So that line item will go, down to,
I think our estimate was like 10% of what we're asking for this year for future years.
yeah. So,
What are Class A uniforms?
So, sorry.
go ahead.
If we're at a parade or
Funeral.
a funeral, and that's a thing that has come up in the past is, there's a funeral for a firefighter in another town, EMS provider in another town, and we send some members with apparatus to be part of that. Typically, folks show up in a Class A uniform, like a dress uniform, so that will look essentially like slacks, a jacket with department patches on it, shirt and tie, and a hat. And the best we've had to show up in thus far has been polo shirts and blue trousers. And it doesn't really feel respectful of that person or the department for showing up to support when we show up dressed like that.
So, again, there's some line items that have decreased. We'll monitor it over the next year and see if they have to be bumped up, but it's mostly depending on call volume, And then on page 4, under 100-4900 capital and debt service, you'll see a line item, transfer to reserve fund. And this is the fire reimbursement. Is that, no, the reserve fund, the fire, whatever it's called. It's like the one we just voted on and created. In order to level fund this budget, this $87,595.75 would be the number that we could transfer into the reserve. And there's a reason to try to level fund this particular department budget for the next several years. It's to build up that reserve fund so we can start doing capital purchases, because these folks are looking at a new truck down the line here. And not having that money in a reserve fund, we're gonna have to borrow it. So,
Can you explain where you're getting the 87,000 from again? From this particular budget or from?
it's from this department budget. So basically, Eileen, if you took that number out, it would reduce this budget by that number.
Okay.
So it was basically the last year's budget, and
Right.
everything trimmed to what we felt was where it should be. That was what was left over.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
So,
And that number will change year to year
Yeah.
unless we set it, at a particular
This is
dollar
budget
amount.
magic.
Yeah. But this department, this is part of their other process that they went through with the budget and the capital planning, is they figured out they're gonna need at least $100,000 a year to put away
For
the next several
I think it was
years.
actually I think we came up with 150,000 is what, if we took all of our trucks, divided them out by the lifespan, air packs, gear, the life pack, there may have been a couple other things, but those are the big ticket items. I mean, you're looking at a fire engine now, you're looking at $900,000. So to go to the taxpayers and ask for $900,000 without having anything to go towards it is like, that's a huge, I'm not comfortable with it. I mean, we're due for an engine. I think last year we were actually due for the new fire engine, but I mean, we test the trucks every year, pumps, we keep up on the maintenance. The truck is it's a solid truck. It's not like that part of it is actually a worry. It's just that we are not comfortable going to the taxpayers and saying we need $900,000 for a new truck. It's just not. It's not a good way to operate. You should have a good portion of that before you order the truck. Fire engines nowadays are 2 to 3 years out from when you order them. So if we could have a couple years of trying to build this capital fund and then have another couple of years before the truck actually shows up and pay for it, we should have a good portion of that money set aside so we don't have, hopefully maybe don't have to borrow it all, or if we do have to borrow, it's definitely a lot smaller of a number, which seems like it's a little bit more responsible to operate that way.
Yep.
So
Sounds good.
yeah, so that's basically the way we're gonna look at this budget
Okay.
moving forward.
Okay.
And, so basically whatever surplus is left over this year, we'll take that number and move it into this transfer
Okay.
for the reserve.
And where does, if we get the fire reimbursement, whatever it was called, if we ever get that going,
The fire
Where
service
does-
reimbursement.
where does that money land?
We will have to label that, okay? So I think when we redo the ordinance, we can state that that money can move into the fire department reserve fund.
Okay.
And the other piece of that, because like Brian said, 150,000, right?
Mhm.
So we have 2 more payments on the fire station,
Okay.
and that special account, the 330 account, we need to go back to the schools and renegotiate and continue to have that contribution. And that will go into the fire department reserve fund as
So we
well.
can make up the full amount that we need.
Right.
Not
I
like-
think with what we get from the schools and with the amount that, if this year's budget, once we get through, we're a year and a half away from actually knowing whether this budget is gonna be about where we want it, but
Right.
if this budget that we're making right now works and it seems right, I think with the money that we get from the schools will be, or what we're currently getting from the schools, it would be like pretty close to the amount that we're looking for. So
Yeah, so the schools are about 60,000.
Okay.
If they send
Continue.
a contribution,
Right, okay.
okay?
Yeah.
So, and then, any extra money that filters in, whether it's an insurance claim, or, the environmental spill over there.
Yeah.
That money went into the 330 special fund,
Okay. Okay.
but anything related to public safety needs to go into the fire reserve fund. Moving forward, we're gonna have to put it in writing, because, when we're not here, we don't wanna reinvent this conversation.
No getting hit by a bus yet.
Right. So that is the draft budget. It may change a little bit, but I think it's pretty damn close to being finalized.
Okay.
Okay. Public safety, you got questions, Patrick?
I'd just like to say I'm real happy to see that reserve fund come into life this way. And that was always the goal, that we could have enough money in the kitty so we can sustain ourselves, we can sustain the department.
Mm-hmm.
That was always the idea. If we can get that, the mitigation fund going too, and the school funds and all of it, if we can keep dumping all of those revenue streams into this fund, we
Right.
will make this a functional fund.
Yep.
Alright, public safety special fund request to transfer.
So I'm gonna request the select board, in our public safety reimbursement, 330 special fund. There's some money here, and what I would like the select board to do is to transfer $69,987.64 from that fund into the fire department reserve fund.
Can you say that number again? 69,900 what?
$87.64. So the fund balance right now is $111,847.66. We need to keep the two payments. I want to keep the two payments because if in the next year we don't receive the money, I want to make sure we can cover the two fire station bond payments. So that will leave the $69,987.64. I'm safe to ask the select board to transfer that money tonight into the fire department
What's the
reserve
name of the
fund.
fund that we're transferring from?
From
Yeah.
is public safety reimbursement, special fund.
I make a motion to transfer $69,987.64 from the Public Safety Reimbursement Special Fund to the Fire Capital Reserve Fund.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Alright. Guess we're on to executive session.
So do we
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you.
That went well.
Okay, so we're gonna go into executive session under 1 VSA 313(1). After making a specific finding that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or person involved at a substantial disadvantage. E, pending or probate civil litigation or prosecution to which the public body is or may be a party. And
So
we're
moved.
inviting Karen.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
6:23. You're in, Karen?
Yes.
Okay.
Whoops, wait a minute. That's what you
Wait for
need.
Fletcher.
Okay.
All right, we've come out of executive session with no,
No action.
no action. Can I hear next meeting, December 3rd, 2025, a special budget meeting discussion. And can I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Do we have to sign anything?
No.
We don't have to sign anything today.